A U.S. destroyer, USS Henry Duffy, is operating in the East China Sea conducting routine operations. Suddenly, the ship's intelligence officer announces across the net that a Chinese ship is 15 nautical miles away and heading straight for the U.S. destroyer. The Chinese vessel is closing fast. Unprovoked, the Chinese ship trains their weapons and fires on the USS Duffy. USS Duffy is hit and is taken on water. The ship's crew jumps into action by returning fire. The tactical action officer gives the order to fire. However, due to Seaman Johnson having to be sent off the ship a week earlier because ongoing knee pain, there is no one there. The fight continues. Down in the ship's berthing, gallons of water are rushing in through the damaged walls. Petty Officer Second Class Jerkins is scrambling to stop the incoming water, alone, as Petty Officer Wilkins and Seaman Recruit Reams are not present. They couldn't pass the sea duty screening after too many injuries. Up on the bridge, Captain Jones is maneuvering the ship and maintaining track of incoming missiles. He gives the order to bring the ship about, but Lieutenant Barry is not present. He failed too many BCA tests and was sent off the ship. The U.S. destroyer is fighting for survival, but unable to carry out its mission. Seaman Sally, Petty Officer Wilkins, Seaman Recruit Reams, and Lieutenant Barry are not on the ship because they failed the Navy's physical readiness test. In a Navy that already struggles to meet manning requirements, every sailor is of the highest value. The lives of the entire crew are now at risk. Although the scenario is quite extreme, it is a reality that the U.S. Navy faces on a daily basis. The reality of sea duty billets increasingly going unfilled and ships getting underway while being undermanned. The Navy's operational readiness cannot afford even a single member being injured or out of standards. This scenario and a million like it is what leads into this quality improvement project. I'm Adrian Hernandez, and my applied research project is improving consistency of warm-up routines during command physical training sessions in the U.S. Navy, a quality improvement project. Please take a second to look over the contents of this project. Throughout this project, these terms will be used: operational readiness, sea duty manning, and light limited duty. As there are several differences of these terms between military and civilian usage, these are the definitions this project will be referring to. Operational readiness, capability of service members to perform mission or tasks for which they are trained. An example would include a SEAL team member being able to be deployed in the most remote locations while still being able to perform their duties. Sea duty manning, a specific number of operationally ready individuals deployed to a command. An example of this would be in a college setting, there's usually 6 or 7 athletic trainers. However, if there is less than 6 athletic trainers, that puts more stress on the others having to cover more sports, games, etc. Light limited duty, frequent provider-patient interaction to determine whether return to full duty status or more intensive therapeutic intervention is appropriate in any given case. An example of this would be a football player gets a concussion, getting pulled out of the game. Depending on the concussion, the athlete will be out 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the severity. Operational readiness is an important function of the military as it allows a wider selection of members to be tasked, decreasing the amount of time each member spends on a single deployment. This decreasing amount of time spent on a deployment lessens workload for each member, allowing a higher quality of life. In overview, a wider selection of members who are deemed operationally ready enables full sea duty manning, leading to units and ships having a quick turnover rate. The turnover rate is the fundamental principle of a forward deployed Navy. A factor in being operational ready is meeting the Navy's fitness standards. Command PT gives members a period of time throughout the day to focus on their physical fitness in order to meet the fitness standards. While performing PT, members exert themselves to reach the highest level of their performance in an attempt to avoid extra military instruction. Without a proper warm-up, members are highly vulnerable to injury. A warm-up routine is always conducted first during a PT session, followed by the exercise session and a cool-down. Injured members are placed on light limited duty, LLD. Depending on the severity of their injury, they may be LLD for 1 week to several months. While members are LLD, they are not fit for full duty. Not being fit for full duty disables members from being operational ready until they are taken off the LLD status. A proper dynamic warm-up routine enables an increase in the body's temperature, increase of range of motion, increase of blood flow to and from extremities, and a decreased chance of injuries caused by muscle stiffness. Over the past few years, the Navy has increased implementation of fitness leaders to provide knowledge of nutrition, exercise physiology, anatomy, injury prevention, and safety. The fitness leaders training is based off fitness guides provided by the Navy to include Operational Navy Instruction 6110.1J and 2016 Command Fitness Guide. These fitness guides provide a variety of methodical guidelines to conduct a warm-up routine. Through first-hand account, the fitness guides are utilized. However, there is inconsistency in use of the fitness guides from all trained command fitness leaders and members. There are 6 fitness leaders at the command, and they alternate from session to session depending on their work schedule. Each fitness leader decides how they are going to run their warm-up session. They may use a variety of exercises from the fitness guides or may use their own type of exercises. This is problematic as inconsistency in implementation of warm-up routines can negatively impact overall effectiveness of injury prevention efforts. Joint Components Command is an administrative command at Naval Information Operations Command, Colorado. Joint Components Command has a rotating number of roughly 22 active duty sailors, which are the concentration of this QI project. This group of sailors was determined by being most readily available. The members will not be rotating command within the QI project period, and they have already been attending command PT. A 10-minute standardized warm-up routine found in Appendix C was utilized by command fitness leaders within Naval Information Operations Command, Colorado. After muster was taken by fitness leaders, pre-participation questions were asked, and if everyone met requirements, the warm-up routine began. If all requirements were not met, the individual situation was handled by the fitness leader, and the warm-up began. The timer began when fitness leaders commanded members to begin. The timer stopped post-warm-up when fitness leaders executed the halt instruction. Special considerations were made when fire alarms, active shooter, or shelter-in-place drills were conducted. When these drills were called over the intercom or loudspeakers, time would be stopped. The process would repeat from the beginning at the next warm-up session scheduled for that day. The Navy has provided fitness guides that do not have a concise method of utilization for a warm-up routine. Fitness leaders' routine implementation differ based on experience, knowledge, and use of fitness guides at previous commands. A standardized warm-up routine with specific procedures found in Appendix C will increase the frequency of sessions conducted per week and amount of time spent on an effective warm-up routine. The aim of this QI project is to increase time spent on a consistent dynamic warm-up routine to 10 minutes and to increase the number of days per week PT is conducted to 5 days over the course of the 4 weeks. How will we know that a change is an improvement? Changes resulting in improvement are an increase of 10 minutes spent on a dynamic warm-up routine during warm-up sessions and an increase in frequency PT is conducted per week. Appendix A is the recording sheet. Recording periods at which warm-up sessions start and stop. The time period will be measured strictly based on a structure of warm-up sessions. At the end of 4 weeks, frequency and average time spent on a dynamic warm-up routine will determine if the implemented protocol was effective. When beginning this project, the main area of focus was people, specifically fitness leaders being inconsistent with the warm-up protocols. However, several other areas were worked on during the process. These areas will be discussed in later slides. What changes can we make that will result in improvement? There were several options in determining the most effective implementation of a warm-up protocol. Developing a new protocol with new exercises, including alternative forms of warm-up exercises, such as static, plyometric, etc., were presented. However, because members are familiar with the current exercises presented in the fitness guides, these are more easily available to be instructed by fitness leaders. Instead of presenting fitness leaders with multiple options of implementing current routines, standardizing routines for all fitness leaders decreases variability in the use of the exercises. The specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and timely, also known as SMART, aim statement was to improve consistency of warm-up routines during command physical training sessions in the U.S. Navy. By providing a standardized warm-up routine, protocol will be consistent with alternating fitness leaders. 9 exercises in 10 minutes will be implemented during every warm-up session. This will not only ensure fitness leaders are allowing members to receive full benefits of a dynamic warm-up, but allow members to become familiar with a single warm-up routine. In addition to the standardized routine, members will be educated on the importance and effects of a dynamic warm-up routine. The plan phase of the Plan Do Study Act cycle relied heavily on specific steps, to include implementation of standardized warm-up protocol, specific exercises selected that were provided by fitness guides that best gave a full body warm-up, developed a Microsoft Excel sheet as a recording tool to measure outcomes effectively, and the implementation of a PowerPoint to effectively educate fitness leaders and service members on proper techniques of the warm-up routine. The Do section consisted of conducting group and one-on-one meetings with fitness leaders, allowing for ceasing misunderstandings, variations of routines, and resolving any issues or questions. Fitness leaders and members received a copy of the warm-up protocol found in Appendix C. During monthly General Military Trainings, or GMTs, the PowerPoint presentation was given and questions and concerns were hashed out. A large poster board-sized printout of Appendix C was also included at all warm-up sessions. As members arrived at PT, they will be instructed to perform the specific warm-up routine. Members will be instructed to ask fitness leaders for assistance or clarification. At this point, the investigator would start the timer. Fitness leaders will monitor members to ensure exercises are performed correctly. The study section of the PDSA cycle included the investigator being present at all warm-up sessions and evaluated warm-up routines personally to decrease variation in measurement protocols. The data was used by the investigator to determine if implementation of the standardized protocol was effective. The results also enabled the chain of command's ability to further understand the need for an increased focus on future fitness leaders training. If the fitness leader course Train the Trainer fails to educate fitness leaders' ability to conduct a structured warm-up protocol, the standardized warm-up protocol will provide quality control. Following the results of the PDSA cycle, if intended outcomes of improving consistency of warm-up routines during command PT sessions is observed, the protocol will be used for future warm-up sessions and taught to future fitness leaders. If the results fail to increase time spent on a dynamic warm-up routine and frequency of sessions, alterations of the protocol will be conducted. Results. Pre-intervention. During Week 1, a warm-up was conducted on 2 days. Week 2 on 3 days. During Week 3, a warm-up routine was not conducted, and during Week 4 on 4 days. A dynamic warm-up routine was conducted for an average of 5 minutes during Week 1, Week 2, 12 minutes and 36 seconds, during Week 3, 0 minutes and 0 seconds, and during Week 4, 20 minutes. There was an average total of 2 days and 6 hours for the 4 weeks prior to intervention. An average total of 9 minutes and 24 seconds were spent on a single dynamic warm-up routine during the 4 weeks pre-intervention. Post-intervention, a total number of 5 days of warm-up sessions were conducted during Week 1, 5 days during Week 2, 5 days during Week 3, and 5 days during Week 4. A dynamic warm-up routine was conducted for an average of 18 minutes and 48 seconds during Week 1, Week 2, 15 minutes, 36 seconds, Week 3, 13 minutes and 24 seconds, and during Week 4, 10 minutes and 12 seconds. There is an average total of 5 days a week spent on the warm-up routine and 14 minutes and 24 seconds during each session. The difference between pre- and post-intervention. Over the course of the 4 weeks, an increase of 40 minutes and 30 seconds occurred of a dynamic warm-up routine from pre-intervention to post-intervention overall within the 4 weeks. There was an increase of 2 days and 18 hours a week and an increase of 5 minutes and 6 seconds during each warm-up session. The most insightful lesson was communication between alternating fitness leaders. Prior to the implementation protocol, fitness leaders did not keep track of what exercises were conducted or body region was worked. During monthly general military trainings, open forum discussion worked best. Instead of individually asking questions or implementing pre and post quizzes, when fitness leaders educated members during warm-up sessions on cues and tips, members were more willing to conduct the exercises. Attending Train the Trainer courses, which teaches basics of being a fitness leader, are mandatory to begin the process of being a fitness leader. The course is great, but with no oversight beyond the course, fitness leaders are unknowledgeable if they are conducting their lesson plan correctly. As the issue with the lack of chain of command involvement occurs, it becomes problematic with practicing modes of methods. Lack of oversight has major implications on decreased knowledge of members pertaining to proper warm-up. Inconsistencies of PT protocols become apparent. The standardized routine should be implemented during the Train the Trainer course. Current physical health assessments and official Navy PT gear are materialistic issues that are an issue. Prior to Command PT, members are questioned if they have a current physical health assessment. Physical health assessments screen members and evaluates medical readiness. Some commands require a soft copy or electronic physical health assessment, while other commands require a hard copy form to input into PRIMS, the online mustering of military members' health status. All members must have a current physical health assessment occurring annually before they participate in PT. There could have been more members involved with the QI project, but lack of physical health assessment limited them from participating. The PT uniform, or PTUs, consists of a yellow shirt with nylon blue shorts. The shorts are uncomfortable and rip down the middle quite often. Most commands require members wear their PTU during Command PT and during physical fitness assessments. When members find these uniforms uncomfortable, performance levels decrease. At times, members were unable to perform all dynamic warm-up exercises because the shorts limited their range of motion. A more comfortable, stretchy material would be a better option. This QI project was step one of improving the consistency of warm-up routines during Command PT sessions, which focused on people. More specifically, fitness leaders are inconsistent with the warm-up protocols. As discussed earlier, the secondary effects led to increasing chain of command oversight, teaching members how to properly warm up, and fitness leaders' consistency in training methods. However, these were a result of step one, but will be worked on in future studies. In conclusion, the QI project proved to be effective and met the short-term expected outcomes of increasing frequency of dynamic warm-up routines conducted per week and increasing amount of time spent on a single dynamic warm-up routine. Once this QI project is implemented at different commands, it would allow for further consistencies of warm-up routines and eventually globalize the standardized routine. Further research will focus on the correlation between number of members seeking medical attention and the days the physical readiness test is being conducted. It will also focus on PT gear and range of motion. The third thing future research will focus on is the physical readiness test scores and the duration of dynamic warm-up routines. Please take a second to look through my references. If there are no questions, I would like to thank you for your time. I would also ask you to provide feedback as this is an ongoing effort. Lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Kenny Lamb as he helped me throughout this whole process, and I could not have done it without him. So thank you, Dr. Lamb.